Greetings, it is I, Chase, again, and I want to do a kind of a follow-up video to my review of Blue Eye Samurai. I had received one comment that was interesting, and talking about how the show is a woke trans, show in disguise, and I disagreed with the comment. And I'm going to try to make this as concise as I can because I had another comment that told me, I fell asleep, and I just kind of replied with my own snarky comment. I just personally think, you can leave comments, they don't hurt my feelings, but sometimes I just go like, why? Like, why do that? I just, if you wanted to offer some constructive criticism and say, hey, I just kind of found it a little bit boring, just kind of, maybe you should work on that. Like, that's one thing. But then you just kind of say, I fell asleep, just basically as a way to just kind of insult me and just say, you're boring, kind of thing like that. I just don't understand that. I don't get why people need to do that. But they do. So I replied, said, look, sorry, I don't have the budget to afford a team of editors to make my videos flashy for the failing attention span of the average human being today. So, yeah, I'm long-winded. I try not to be, but that's what I am, and I don't have the time. I do not have the time to learn how to do that stuff, nor do I have right now the funds to hire people to do that for me. So this is what you get. So there you go. So I want to just kind of do a little follow-up to the last thing I mentioned, and again, my disagreement with this other commenter. And with respect, they made some good points, and it made me think for a moment. I was like, what if it is? What if the show is a woke show in disguise? It could be, there could be in the future, like they could really, and I think if they did this, they would actually just blow the whole thing up, because it has a great story, it just does. And it does follow a concept that I have always found fascinating. Finally a strong female lead. And look, I say that as a Christian man who believes in the patriarchy. I think, I saw a meme earlier today that said, it's quoting a pastor who said, empowering women makes men weak, and weak men make everybody dangerous, or puts everybody in danger. Now, I agree with the quote, but I just don't like this phrase, empowering women. I like to empower women. I'm all for that. What I am not for is just, again, because I believe in the patriarchy, I am not for misplacing where that power should be. I absolutely love strong women, a strong female character. I love those. But see, what do we mean by strong? That's the issue here. And so strong, I think strong is a character who is more than one-dimensional, is complex, very human, and they are full of strengths and weaknesses. That to me is a strong character, because if you're talking about strictly from a storytelling standpoint, that's a strong character. And that's what I mean when I talk about strong characters, strong female characters. I'm not talking about a big muscular lady, who just beats up all the boys no matter what, That's not a strong character. That's a shallow character, and therefore weak character. So anyways, but here's what I have a problem with people, and I understand, we have been so absolutely pulverized with woke garbage, left and right. And so it's made us so jaded, and so I get it. That's what I felt when I was watching the show. I was like, every single time they think they were coming close to doing this thing, like I mentioned in my like, for instance, Mizu being gay. First time she sees that princess, she has this sort of like stunned look, like wow, And I thought, oh, they're making her gay. Well, that's wonderful. Ruined the whole thing to me, and that turned out not to be the case at all. That was just something else. They were also hinting at, the whole, women are great, men are just pigs thing, and they also didn't go there. And I was afraid towards the end of episode 1, Mizu's kicking butt. I was like, oh, here they go. They're gonna make Mizu she's just showing up all these men, And again, they don't do that, and especially at the very end of episode 1, when you see Mizu in the she's obviously naked, and she's in the waterfall. The way they set that scene up, I was like, okay, this is not some woke thing. That's what you're seeing right there in the symbolism of that scene is somebody who's broken, somebody who's hurting, somebody who is struggling with deep trauma, feeling alone and feeling like she can't, like it's you see her again, she's naked, but you see her, she's veiled in the darkness of the waterfall and stuff, and she's kind of covering herself. What I got from that scene was, this is somebody, like this is a physical visualization of somebody who is trapped, somebody who can't even be comfortable in their own skin. They not in a transgender way, I'll get to that in a moment, but not in a transgender way, where they feel just tormented inside. Like she can't, she just has no peace inside. And I immediately created empathy for me, for her character. And that's when it really struck me. I'm like, okay, so this is not gonna be just some woke disaster. There's so much more to this character. So anyways, but what I wanted to talk about is the reason why I disagree with this person who commented on my last video, is because the reason why I'm convinced that this is not gonna be. So this is either gonna, again, they can either just go, in the second season, which there's no way they don't get a second season, but they can either just go, all right, now we're just gonna have Mizu go into the West world and embrace her masculine side and go, you know what, I'm a man, and there you go. And they can do that and ruin the whole thing. And I'll tell you why I would ruin it, or they can go the other direction, which again, let me just explain this. So the reason why to go the other direction would be horrible storytelling. It's not just because it would be woke, and also be promoting mutilation of kids and stuff, but it would undermine what they built in season 1. So I mentioned to this person, I said, see, the key thing that I think is why you're wrong on this subject is because in episode 5, you see Mizu, she's on the path of revenge, right? Remember, she's on the path of revenge. But she ends up meeting a man and she falls in love with him. And you see Mizu turn into someone else completely. She's happy. She actually is embracing being a woman. And she loves it. So what you see in that episode, okay, so again, approaching this from a storytelling perspective, that's how I like to watch these. I like to watch these because I'm an aspiring author, so I kind of pay attention to this stuff. What the narrative is telling me here, and not just in episode 5, but in numerous other points in the show, where like her sword father tells her, and you see it in him too as well. He really grew to. You can tell he's grown to love Mizu. And he probably doesn't, I don't think he knows Mizu as a girl, but he sees Mizu as like his lost son, as it were. I'm not saying he had, when I say lost son, I mean like the son he never had, the child he never had, who gave him more fulfillment in life, teaching Mizu, mentoring Mizu. And you see Mizu, he's tormented, right? Because he tries to tell Mizu, like, hey, finding vengeance is not going to bring you happiness. It's going to just destroy you. He's a voice of reason in the show to Mizu to try and tell her you won't find anything good out of any of this. It's just going to make things worse for you. And so the show, again, from a narrative perspective, is trying to tell Mizu to let this go and move on. Episode 5 showed that she almost did that. So episode 5 gives you a hint at what's going to make Mizu truly happy. And it's not vengeance. It's accepting who you are and finding peace in that. And she does for a time. But her heart is broken and it hardens her even more. And, the show sort of, it takes you on the journey with Mizu, how she became, really what she becomes is kind of a monster. She really does become sort of a monster obsessed with her hatred for these people and the desire for vengeance. The show does not ever, it never treats Mizu's desire for revenge as a good thing. It kind of treats it as a bad thing and something that is detrimental to her growth as a person and becoming a better person. Because as she seeks vengeance, she pushes people away, the people that care about her, her friends and stuff. But also at the same time, you see in episode 7, she has a moment with Taigen. I loved it. I thought it was great. I'm sure for Taigen it was very awkward because he's like, "Isn't this a dude? Why am I attracted to this guy? I'm not gay." But he's attracted to Mizu, of course, because Mizu's actually a woman. But so there's these little moments you see in the show, which clearly say that this, to me, that this is not a woke show. This is not somebody who's transgender. This is somebody who has trauma. And that's what I love about it. They treat the subject of trauma so well. She's traumatized by what happened to her as a child and how she grew up. And it's affected her, how she is as an adult. And so she's motivated by trauma. And what she needs to do, what the show needs to have her do, is overcome that trauma so that she can truly embrace who and what she is, which we see glimpses of in episode 5. We see what will make Mizu whole. The show titulates to you, as it were, at what will make Mizu whole, and then rips it away, because that's how you do in a narrative. You do that to create empathy for your character, or in the audience towards the character, so that you want to see this journey. You want to see this person find that wholeness. You caught a glimpse of it for a moment in time. What's going to make them truly whole? And again, if the creators are good, they're going to continue that theme throughout the rest of the series, however long it goes. You're gonna see these moments where Mizu finds happiness, sprinkled throughout, and she's gonna be. It was put to me this way one time when I watched a video on what makes great characters. What makes a great character, a memorable character, is they have these two things. So they have what they desire and they have what they need. And a protagonist starts out with a desire, but gradually what they need comes into play. So in this story, for instance, in Mizu's story, what she desires is vengeance. What she needs is peace. She needs love. And so as the story goes, what she wants and what she needs begin to clash, and she's forced to choose between one or the other. And you see the consequences of what happens when she chooses vengeance. She pushes people away, makes people angry at her. She ends up alone and more miserable. And then you see the consequences of when she's goes the other direction, embraces what she needs: love, peace, happiness, but also more vulnerability. And when that peace and happiness was, and allowing herself to be vulnerable was broken, what does she do? She shuts herself off again, never to let people in. That's what makes great characters. The wants and then the needs clash. And that's what you see in this. And so what the show needs to continue to do is they need to continue to push that. They need to continue to, there's her desire for vengeance, but then here's what she needs, what she needs has to continue to grow stronger and stronger. And if it's good storytelling, eventually it will overcome the want. Good storytelling, I believe, especially as a Christian, is redemption. Finding reconciliation, being reconciled. From this point, I want to see Mizu find reconciliation. And that's why I really hope in the future, I really hope that the creators, first of all, know when to end the show. But secondly, Mizu doesn't actually kill all these men. Instead, she spares them. I mean, she's already killed one of them apparently, but she actually will spare them and realize that she will never find peace by killing them, but only by accepting what is. I absolutely believe that God is intimately involved in our pain and our suffering, but he's involved and he lets it happen for a reason and a purpose. And that's what I'm writing about too in my own stories. And so a lot of bad things happen to my characters. But as they're going to learn throughout, as I have learned personally, so many of the things that I've gone through, all the struggles I've gone through, I wouldn't trade them for anything. I'm so glad that they happened to me. I needed those things that happened to me. I needed to struggle. I needed to be heartbroken, because without it, I wouldn't be where I am. Now, I'm not in the most ideal place. I'm still a work in progress, but I'm so much better for it. And that's the way you should look at your pain and your suffering, that God used that to bring you to a better place, to make you a better person. And if you're not being made a better person, well, that's because you're not looking at your pain and suffering the way you should be. And that's what I hope happens with Mizu. That's a long shot, but that's what I hope is what happens with Mizu. She, over time, realizes, I was brought about in a horrible way, but I'm here. I have a life, and I could spend that life regretting that I ever lived, or I can decide I'm gonna make something of this life. I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna help people. That's what I hope happens. So just wanted to do a follow-up there about why I don't believe that this show ultimately is woke, and more than that, woke in disguise. Like, it's setting you up for a woke, payoff. So anyways, but I wanted to just comment on that. Gotta go. I will talk to you all later. Bye.